That looks so good. Oh my God. Ooh. Look at all that flakiness from this easy, no-chill, 3-ingredient, made by hand pie crust.
Hey there, thanks for coming to hang out. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Brighten Day, and my goal is to lighten you up and brighten your day. So please subscribe, like, and share this video. It really helps grow my channel. Today we're making a fresh strawberry rhubarb pie. Rhubarb is a delicious perennial vegetable that grows in my climate. There's a video link in the description where we go out into my garden and we learn all about rhubarb together. Check it out. There is a few different varieties of rhubarb as well. At home, I grow this cool green kind. You may see it at your grocery store, or you may see it completely red. Like at the greenhouse, I picked up this cool variety with red stalks. I'm gonna grow this so we'll have both varieties at our house. They look very much like celery, but they taste nothing like it. Making the double pie crust dough is the very first step, or if you already have some pre-made in the refrigerator, go ahead and use that. If you don't have any on hand, I highly suggest checking out the video link in the description, because by the time you go to the store and come home, you've already would have been able to make this fresh from 3 ingredients you already have in your kitchen. So you might as well make it. We're preparing 3 cups of rhubarb and 3 cups of strawberries. I'm gonna put this dough in the refrigerator in the meantime while I prepare that, but you don't have to. If you have everything ready for your pie, go ahead and use this dough right now. That's one of my favorite things about it. Wash your rhubarb and strawberries very well. Preparing the rhubarb, first we're going to cut the very top part off of it where it was by the leaf. You can see there's still some piece of the leaf on there. Just to be safe, I'm gonna cut them completely off of everything. And I'm also gonna cut away and peel off this papery husk thing. It comes off really easy. If it looks too weird at the bottom and you don't wanna eat it, just cut it off. Use your best judgment. With the leaf tops all cut off, now I like to separate them by size. Our goal here is to cut them up into consistent sizes and shapes. It improves the texture of the pie. A few of these are skinny and long, the rest of them are double the width. So to make them a consistent size, I'm actually gonna cut all these thicker ones in half. That way they end up making 2 skinny pieces. If you're having difficulty getting consistency because of how long these are, cut them in half and then cut them down the middle. It makes it a lot easier. Now they're all relatively the same thickness. You're gonna take them and get them all to the same point and lay them out, holding them semi-tightly so they don't move around too much. And make sure that your fingers are over as far away from the knife as possible, even your thumb. Our goal here is to cut all the way down to the cutting board, and we're moving over about a ½ inch every time. This will keep all of our strips making consistent sized little bits. Just please be very careful and make sure not to cut your fingers. This smells so tart and floury at the same time. I wish you could smell this at home. It's so good. I can't wait to eat this pie. When it's coming to the end where a lot of the pieces were short and then some are longer, stop and make a cut. And then bring them to make another pile again as best as you can. If you can't, do it into 2 separate piles. That's fine too. But this really helps keep all of your bits the same size. Watch those fingers. Be careful as you approach the ends. This smells very much like a green apple. It made all these cool kinds of colors. Now I'm just gonna put them in a bowl. Did you know that you can eat the green tops of a strawberry? Most recipes are going to tell you to take them out, and that takes a really long time, and you don't need to do that because you can totally eat it, and we're going to bake it anyway, so you really won't notice it. There's a video link in the description where we go out to my garden and learn all about the unique uses for strawberries that you may not know about yet. Check it out. Just like with our rhubarb, we want to keep consistent cut sizes of our strawberries. You want to cut them into quarters or eighths depending how big the strawberry is. If the strawberry is particularly big, cut it in eighths. If it's a smaller one like this, just quarter it. If it's cut too small, it's just completely going to join the juicy part of the pie. It'll still taste really good, but you won't have that same bitey texture. This larger one here, I'm probably going to have to dice up into eighths, but the smaller one next to it, I'm only going to have to quarter it.
to get to the same kind of cut size. And you just do your best. Keep cutting until you have 3 cups of strawberries. Now mix in 3 cups each of strawberries and 3 cups of rhubarb. Or as much as you can. I actually have extra. 3 cups strawberries. I even have extra strawberries, and there's this really neat natural juice that formed in the bottom of the bowl, and I'm just draining that in on top as most as I can without dropping more strawberries in on accident. What a nice flavor. That's a great time to test your strawberry sweetness level because this recipe calls for 1 1/3 cup of sugar. I'm using pure cane sugar. You can use any kind of crystallized sugar that you'd like. If you found your strawberries weren't that sweet, bump it up to 2 cups, but don't go overboard. Then add 2/3 cup of flour. The flour helps thicken the juicy inside of the pie. I like to add a dash of salt. Today I'm using Hawaiian red sea salt. Very much in smell and similar in flavor to a green apple, rhubarb is very tart. Strawberry being a sweet and tart fruit, some cinnamon tastes really well with it as well. But you don't have to, it's not necessary to add salt or cinnamon. A little salt will help out bring some sweetness, and cinnamon is a sweet spice. Stir it all together and mix well. It smells delicious, you're really gonna enjoy this part. The salt will also help bring out the natural juices of the fruit in this process. We're gonna let it sit for maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, not that long. You don't really have to worry about it, but I find it does help thicken the pie a little bit better. Everything's really well coated. I'm gonna let it sit for a minute and go get a drink. It's so good. You're gonna love it, but make sure to cover it while you leave it too, so flies or something don't go in it. We're ready to use the pie crust, so I took them out of the refrigerator. Have your pie pan out as we roll out the dough because we're gonna wanna make sure to have 1 inch around the edges at least, around the whole size of the pan. I have no idea how big this pan is. Flour your working surface. Then put down the dough. Try it on some wax paper if you're having trouble rolling it. Flour your rolling pin or whatever you're gonna use for this. I'm using a thermos, a wine bottle works well, anything. And just roll it out as best you can. You don't want it to be too thin, and we're going for a circle, remember our pan. I love how easy it is to do with this dough. When we made the dough, we split it in half. Now the bottom really uses like 60% of the dough and the top uses like 40% of the dough, so I did take a little bit extra off of the other half, and I'm adding it to it now because it's just not enough to get to where we need it to be. Any cracks you see in it, you can kind of mush it and it'll just go back together on its own. You're gonna wanna take your pie plate and just kind of see what do you have working with. I see a lot of it. I have like extra way up here. I could use that to help when I have like a little bit here that I could use a little extra. We can move it over there and simply roll over it again. And now it fits. So anywhere that you see that happening along the edge right now, I would go ahead and do that, like a final roll. This is really where the wax paper comes in handy. I had a lot of trouble getting off of my countertop, but I'm just gonna literally flip this on top of this really quickly. Ooh, it's coming on good. This recipe is for a 10-inch pie pan. I'm pretty sure mine is 12 inches at least, but I'm making it work. Any cracks you see, you can kind of just like touch them and mush them, and they just kind of like fill in. And any extra I have on the sides, I'm setting aside, just because I feel like I'm gonna have to fill in a couple crust pieces. Just because whatever pan size this is. Ideally, I'd have 1 inch overhanging, but because this isn't 10 inches and it's 12 inches, my extra inch like gets me to my walls, and like some of them it goes up a bit, but a lot of them it's like it still needs, like these ones I have extra, but in the other ones you just saw it needs like some help. So most is okay. Press it all together. The pie filling will help hold the walls up. This isn't a structured pan, it's made completely out of silicone, so it's very floppy. I filled the holes as best as I can. Now we're gonna fill it with all of the filling that we just made. Scrape the sides to get all that yummy juice off the side, or at least eat it with your fingers. It tastes delicious. That looks so good, oh my god. Okay guys, let's roll out the top for this. Wax paper made such a huge difference. Definitely use that if you have it. It made it so much easier. I've never really used it before. I thought it was kind of silly, but I tried it and it was really awesome. This pan is so big, I went ahead and I actually made another batch of dough to double this recipe because I was just not gonna have enough to cover the top at all. I barely had enough to make it to the edges of this pan. We've rolled a really big top out, now it's time to put it on the pie. Feel the adrenaline rush. Just be quick and try and get it over with as best you can. Hey, it worked pretty good. Gets your heart pumping though. All this extra flour, you can try to tuck in behind the dough that you had placed in there before, or just kind of like crimp it in the top. It's really not that serious. I would cook it. It's gonna be on there and it'll cook up nice and crispy and flaky. But I really just don't like wasting food. Cut a couple slits in the top to help release moisture as the pie bakes. It'll also help you tell when the pie is done, when you see the golden brown color and the juices bursting out. I don't really worry about the edge of the crust at all because I use silicone bakeware. It's unstructured, so when I lift this up, it just kind of gets all wompy anyway. It's really not a big deal to me, and it won't happen to you if you have normal pans. If you have silicone pans as well at home, you know what I mean. Now on top, you can add an egg and sugar wash if you'd like. I prefer not to, but I do like to put aluminum foil around the edges for half of the baking time. It helps prevent excessive browning. If you have a structured pan and you did an intricate design with the top of your dough, I recommend adding foil to the second half of that bake, just in case the foil sticks to the top and ruins your cool design. When baking with a conventional oven, set the temperature between 375 and 400 degrees, depending on your oven. You know it better than I do. You don't want this to get burnt, but it needs to cook for a long time, so it's better to use a lower temperature than it is to use a higher temperature. Because this is a toaster oven, I'm gonna preheat it to 350 degrees. When your oven's done preheating, you're gonna add your pie. We're gonna cook this for 50 minutes to 55 minutes, depending, maybe even an hour. I'm gonna come back in a half hour and take the aluminum foil off the edges. And then I'm gonna continue cooking it without the foil for another 20-25 minutes, maybe a whole half hour to be the total hour. See the fruit bubbling out? This beautiful golden brown crust color, and that you see it bubbling out of the cracks, that means that it's ready. Very carefully. Ooh. Look at that. Let your pie sit out for 30 minutes to help the insides thicken. This is a great opportunity to clean your kitchen if you haven't been cleaning as you've been going. And if you have, go take a break now. Now that it's cold, it's all ready to be cut and served. Cut it however you wish, there's no rules. Look at all that flakiness from this easy, no-chill, 3-ingredient, made by hand pie crust. Remember, there's a video link in the description with the recipe. Check it out. Look at that, guys. That's exactly what you're looking for. Yummy. We did it, guys. You can add some ice cream or fresh whipped cream, but in my opinion, this pie is too delicious to add anything to it. You want to taste all the flavor. Best pie ever. 100%. Please treat yourself and make this pie. It's so good. I promise you will be so happy you did. Well, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time. I really enjoyed hanging out with you and making this pie together, as well as learning about strawberries and rhubarb. Be sure to check out those helpful video links in the description. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye!